This is a multi-tool 2x26 belt sanding attachment. It attaches to either a Baldor motor or a jet grinder. And also there's a sisal wheel attached. This is for finishing off through bores professionally, just like a factory would do it. Also for taking nicks and scratches and dents out of stainless steel and titanium woods and irons. There are two types of finishes you can put on this. One is a satin finish, and one is a high polish finish or mirror finish that you see on the bottom of, say, a Callaway X driver. The belts used for this are one, sandpaper. This is for taking shaft tips down, rough, really bad dent marks in the leading edge of an iron or the bottom of a driver, and that's all that it's used for. Next, you go to finishing belts. This is a 2x26 Scotch-Brite. Red is a rough belt. This simulates the finish of, say, the Callaway sole, the old Warbirds, or the Titleist drivers today. Have a very rough textured grain finish. And then we also have a blue wheel, which is a finishing. This is a very high brush stroke finish for doing satin. These are done for satin finishes only. We also have attached to the machine is a sisal wheel. This is for doing high polish. The combination of belts used to get a mirror finish or high polish finish or a Trizac belt. This is an A16 belt. We also have an A46 or 45, which is a finer belt, but A16 works fine. And we also have a white polishing belt coupled with a white compound and a sisal wheel to bring any sole to a high polish finish. I will show you how to use a combination of these belts to get a couple of different finishes on both irons and metal woods. I'm going to demonstrate how to take down and finish off a through bore on a stainless or titanium driver that has a satin finish on the sole. This is the driver that's been reshafted. You'll notice that I left epoxy gathered around the shaft tip, protruding to the sole. I do this for a reason, because when I take this off, I don't want any gaps or rings around the shaft. So if I wipe that off prior to doing this, there's a good chance that I could wipe down into the bore and leave a crack. So very important to leave it like that. Then we'll move on. We'll put the belt on. To put a belt onto the jet grinder, what you want to do is push this small wheel in. It will lock in place. Simply push your belt on, and then hit this lever again. That will pop it out, and we're ready to go. When I turn the machine on, there's also a lever on the side that will adjust the wheel left to right, depending on where I need to position it. First step is to get rid of the plug. All we do is tap that on the ground. The plug is gone, and I'm going to use my 80, 100, 150, 200, whatever grit sandpaper you're using. All will work fine. Again, this is a rough sanding belt. We're not going to do any finishing. We're just going to take this shaft tip down. You know, there's proper safety equipment here. I've got safety glasses on. All these belts will throw debris towards you. I have gloves on and, of course, an apron. To start, I'm just going to turn the machine on, and I will take this down just so that it's barely flush, or this belt is barely touched metal, and then I will stop it there. Hard to tell from the video, but I used very light pressure there, and my goal was just to take the shaft tip down, the plug down, the epoxy gone, until I just touched all the way around the perimeter of the shaft tip. That means that I'm taking it down uniformly. I haven't put gouges on one side or the other, and again, very light pressure here. I'm letting the belt do the work. I just take it down until it's flush. Now from there, I need to change belts. The belt I put on next is the red Scotch-Brite belt. Again, this is a very coarse Scotch-Brite belt, much similar to the wheels you've had in the past. Again, unlock the spring, and I'll turn that on. And again, all I'm going to do here, I'm just going to go over and remove the scratch marks I put in with the sandpaper. This is the second step in a three-step process for doing the sole. With this belt, if there's any scratches or deep dents, I could also hit those on this belt and that would take them out. But for this one particular head, I'm just going to remove the scratch marks I just put in there. Let the belt get to speed. Again, very light pressure, letting the belt do the work. All I did was take out the scratch marks that I put in with my sandpaper. Notice that the brush strokes are going the same direction each time. This is very important so that when I blend it all in, I don't have to go over the entire sole and make it match. It will blend in with the strokes that are already there, brush strokes. From here I'll put on our final belt, which is the blue finishing belt. This is the blue Scotch-Brite belt, and this, what I will do with this one is just blend these scratches out again and blend it into the sole. It'll look just like it did when it came from the factory. As you can see, it's blended in. I went a little bit broader in the area that I covered. That's just to blend it into the brush strokes that were already there. The through bore is solid. There's no rings or gaps around it. And again, it looks like it came from the factory. I'm going to show you next is how to clean up the face of a driver. You notice typically on the face of a driver, it's a little rougher satin finish than it is on the bottom, say an iron or a typical metal wood. The rough texture is very easy to clean up. It's done with this red Scotch-Brite belt, the coarse belt. And I do this pretty much any driver I work on, reshaft, whether it's a through bore or not. It's just a little quick thing to do that makes the customer's driver look much better. You'll see it only takes a few seconds. All I'm going to do is put it on the face. It takes out any sand pit marks, ball marks, T marks, anything that's on there. Just makes the driver look a lot better. It's a pretty nice touch when you're doing a repair. Very light pressure. You can see all the ball marks, the sky marks off the top line, T marks, sand pit marks have all been taken out, and it takes a few seconds. You keep that belt on the machine most of the time anyway. So go ahead and clean up any type of driver, or even an iron if possible, that you can with this wheel. I'm going to show you next is how to clean up a satin finished or high polished finished stainless iron. This particular one is made out of nickel, and that's okay. Any iron that does not have plating on it, even if it's carbon steel and it's not plated, you can do this without affecting the finish. It's just going to rust again. So again, stainless steel, carbon steel that's non-plated, nickel, beryllium, any material like that can be touched up on this on the jet grinder. What I'm going to do here is there's several dings and scratches on the sole. The customer asked me to clean up the sole. It's been hit on a rock, caught a leading edge. So what I'll do first is go on the sandpaper, and I'll just take out those scratches and dents very lightly. Again, this is a rough grinding wheel. It's not for finishing. Once I take those out, I'll stop and then I'll proceed to the next step. Again, very light grinding. I've taken out the scratches and dents and nicks which happened during play, probably caused by a rock or some heavy rough sand out of a bunker. I've taken those out with the sandpaper. I'm going to stop. I'm going to change to my red coarse wheel or belt. Just like I did with the driver sole, I'm just going to blend these scratch marks out, and I'm going to stop and go to my final finishing wheel. As you can see, I've taken the sanding belt marks, I've taken those out. A little bit broader area I've covered with the red belt. That just blends in the scratch marks from the sandpaper. Now I'm ready to change belts, go to the blue wheel, and then I'll be the last step. I'm going to go ahead and clean up this sole, put the final brush finish on it. Also, the rest of this wedge is satin finish, so I'm going to go ahead and clean it up for the customer as well. This only takes a few seconds. I'm keeping all the brush strokes in line that came from the factory. I'm not going to refinish the wedge, but I'm going to blend this all in so it looks nice and new or refurbished. As you can see, I took all of the nicks and scratches off the back as well. Just put a little better finish on it, blended it all in with the sole where I sanded the nicks and scratches and dents out, and that's good to go. It's a finished product. Now I'm going to show you how to take down a through bore and finish the bottom of the shaft on a mirror or high polished finished sole of a titanium driver. It could also be stainless as well. Most drivers today in fairy woods are titanium that are polished. This is very simple to do. Knock the plug out. I'm going to use Trizac as I explained earlier. Trizac is a hybrid sandpaper. It is man-made. It is made intentionally for jobs like this because it won't get as hot as sandpaper. You don't want to use sandpaper to grind or sand on a titanium driver if you can get around it. So I'll use this. It doesn't get as hot. It won't smear and make the metal it looks like you'll see it smear and it just looks bad and it looks poor. So I'll take the shaft down with this. As soon as I touch metal, I'm going to stop just like I did with sandpaper when I did the stainless driver or the satin driver. So with the Trizac belt, you can see I've taken the shaft tip down, the epoxy off, and I've just gotten to where I've touched the perimeter of the bottom of the driver around the through bore. and that's where it's time to stop. From that, I will move on to the sisal wheel. This is a sisal wheel. It is treated in wax. It's very stiff. With the sisal wheel, we use black buffing compound. This is a large bar in the store. Sometimes you'll have the smaller bars. Both work equally as well. So what I will do, turn this machine on, I will dress this with a little black compound, and I will go over the areas that I just hit with my Trizac belt and blend those out, similar to what I did with the red belt. The difference being here is that I always want to go a different direction when I'm doing mirror finish or polish finish. So you'll see me go different directions with this belt. Or this wheel, I'm sorry. I'm trying to move metal here. I don't want it to go the same direction. That was moderate pressure put on onto that wheel with the sisal compound, and you can see it's kind of a dull. Just taking the scratch marks out from the Trizac. I made it for my last step was a polishing belt, some polishing compound, and I will put that back to high luster finish similar to the rest of the sole. This is the white compound. This is buffing compound. This is used with the white polishing wheel to put a high polish finish on. Now, as you can see, that's a mirror finish, similar to what you get coming out of the factory, sometimes better, just using the polishing belt, and that is a completed job, finished. Customer will be very happy with that. I'm going to show you how to take down the shaft and finish off the bore of a high polished iron. This is a Callaway iron through bore. Only one I know of right now that's a through bore, so they're all very similar. They're going to be polished or satin. I'm not going to show you a satin one today, but it's the same process as doing a satin metalwood. I want to show you the mirror one because it's a little more difficult to do. You start by knocking off the bore. Again, left epoxy all around, oozing up, so I won't have any cracks or creases around the shaft. I want to use my A16 Trizac and grind the shaft tip down. And you can see I took the shaft tip down, the through bore plug, the epoxy, I've taken all that off. There's scratch marks, it's just around the perimeter of the shaft. I'm ready to go on my next step, which is the sisal wheel. Again, I will load this up with black compound. You can see I've taken out the scissor wheels, left the dull satiny finish around the perimeter of the through bore. I'm going to go ahead and touch this up some more. Being a customer's iron, this is all high polish or mirror on the sole. You see a lot of scratches and dents. I'm just going to go ahead and hit on the scissor wheel, take some of those out, and put a little more luster on it. That way it'll all blend in when I'm finished. You can see I took a lot of just the normal wear and tear and playing marks out of the sole very quickly with that scissor wheel. Now I'll go ahead and put the polishing wheel on, some polishing compound, and put this back to a high polish or mirror finish. See that the mirror finish is now on there all the way around the through bore. I went ahead and touch up the hosel a little bit, clean that up in the sole, and that is a completed job. Now I'm going to show you how to do one thing that really helps in the repair process, is how to remove stress marks from a hosel after bending. A lot of times in short hosels, similar to this Callaway, you can see I bent this 3 degrees upright, and there's quite a few stress marks here. It almost looks like it's cracked. Well, it's not really cracked. This is just stress marks from a very short hosel bending very quickly. I can take those out and you will never be able to see them, the customer won't be able to see them, and blend them in with the rest of the hosel. What you want to do first, probably just to be safe, is take some lead tape and tape up the ferrule and the hosel on the shaft, just in case you don't slip with the belt. Just a little piece around the shaft. This will protect the ferrule and the shaft just in case I slip with this belt. What I'm going to do first, I'm going to take the Trizac, gloves on, I'm going to lightly sand out these stress marks, and I'll leave a satin, sanded appearance that we'll take out later with our sisal and our puffing wheel. The Trizac and very little pressure, I've removed all the ceases, creases, stress marks, whatever you want to call them. They're now gone. I'll go ahead to the sisal wheel with some black compound and I'll blend that into the hosel. And after using the sisal wheel, stress marks are now gone. You see a very light haze of satin. I'll put the polishing belt on. And that'll finish the job. Again, I will use white buffing compound. has a finished job, stress marks have been removed.